You were a brilliant student at Moscow State University studying history and philosophy. You believed in the revolution and that the Soviet system was building something new. In 1933, when NKVD recruiters came to the university, you volunteered immediately. You were selected for the prestigious NKVD Training Academy. You were told that your job would be to protect the revolution from internal enemies. You learned that the enemy was everywhere in society. After graduation in 1934, you were assigned to a regional NKVD office at 23 years old. Your early assignments were routine background investigations and reviewing denunciations from citizens. You were efficient and promoted quickly to interrogations. The interrogations became longer and more intense. You learned that people would confess to anything if interrogation lasted long enough. Most confessions were false, and most people were innocent. But you thought only about duty and protecting the revolution. In 1936, Stalin announced counter-revolutionary enemies had infiltrated the party. The Great Terror began. Your office received arrest quotas you were told to meet every month through any means necessary. By 1938, you had become a senior interrogator overseeing other officers. You trained them in breaking people and extracting confessions. You were no longer idealistic. You knew you were participating in mass murder but could not stop. You received privileges and power that ordinary Soviet citizens did not have. You could decide who lived and who died. You destroyed families and communities through interrogations. You knew most of the people were innocent, but you thought only about quotas and survival. By 1939, you had become one of the most feared interrogators in your region. Your name brought terror. People you interrogated would confess to anything and betray anyone. Entire communities were destroyed by your interrogations. In 1940, you were arrested. You were accused of being a counter-revolutionary and a foreign spy. The accusations were exactly what you had done to thousands of other people. You were taken to an interrogation room. You were interrogated by officers who had learned their techniques from you. You were tortured with methods you had invented. You were broken down systematically. You confessed to crimes you had never committed. You named colleagues as co-conspirators. You betrayed people who had served with you. You betrayed friends. You were no different from the thousands you had interrogated. You were innocent of the crimes you were guilty of. You were executed in December 1940 at 30 years old. You were buried in a mass grave with hundreds of other bodies. Your death was never announced. Your family was never told. Your name was erased from official records. You had become a non-person. The system you had served destroyed you. The machine you had helped create consumed you. You had learned that the enemy was everywhere. You had learned this lesson when you became the enemy. This is the story of thousands of NKVD officers during the Great Terror. They were true believers who became instruments of mass murder. They were promoted and rewarded for efficiency in killing. They were given power and privilege. And then they were destroyed by the system they had served. The Soviet Union created a machine for destroying its own people. And then it turned that machine on the people who had created it. The irony is complete. This is what happens when a system values obedience above all else. This is what the Great Terror was.